Oh, hey, what's up? I hear you have a problem. You want to lose weight fast? You came to the right guy. I got you covered. Try using a feeding tube. That's right, a tube down your nose to feed you. We'll supply all the calories. All you do is lay back and relax. You want abs like this? You want arms like this? You just put one tube down your nose and lay away and let the gains come to you. Yeah.
So I trust that what my counterpart back there, Archie, was trying to sell you didn't sound like anything worth buying. He was pitching to you something that was very much a crazy game plan, but the background to it isn't that different than many crash diets out there. That's going to be the topic of today's video, understanding the truth behind crash diets. My name's Achidi. I'm a type A personal trainer and life coach, and I specialize in helping you all get simple and sustainable solutions to all of your health and wellness problems without going crazy. That's the big thing, is I'm not gonna have you go crazy. I know you all want to get things done, so let's get right into it. We're gonna be breaking down what is a crash diet, why crash diets are almost always destined to fail, and I'll be offering you a much more sustainable and simple solution. So let's get right off into it. Now, one last thing before I get to that good information is help me grow my channel. I'm real close to hitting my first milestone of 100 subscribers, and you can help me do that. Hit that subscribe button if you like what you hear, and I promise you I'll keep bringing you some simple and sustainable information for days to come. So let's get right to that information. So what are the characteristics of your typical crash diet? First and foremost, calorie restriction. Most crash diets will have you eating between 800 and about 1200 calories. Some top out at about 1500 calories. For reference, that's going to be acceptable for most small children. Your average adult, especially one who's going to be doing some degree of activity, is going to need quite a bit more than that. But that's not where it ends. In order to make it so that you can tolerate eating a starvation level amount of food, most crash diets will have you supplementing in with shakes, bars, some concoction that they sell you, but basically a product which helps drive down your appetite and keeps you feeling full with products that don't offer any real caloric or nutritional value. But they don't stop there. They will have you drinking large amounts of water. What's large? About a gallon on a small day. Up to 3 gallons is not uncommon on some of your more extreme crash diets. They also will have a prescription of exercise. Much of it is just intended around you burning calories, getting active, and that's the whole goal, is we want you to burn through a ton of energy, but you're only gonna take in a small amount of energy, so you should be losing weight. That's the gist behind all of it. It's just you're gonna eat a little bit, you're gonna force yourself to move a lot, and that's where you'll see your progress. That's all the meat and potatoes behind it. So let's talk about just why they actually fail. So just what's the problem with this? It sounds like it'd be the golden ticket to sustainable weight loss, right? Not so much. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the fact that in order to lose body weight, you have to eat less than how much you move, creating a calorie deficit. Now, that deficit can be achieved in many manners, but the way that crash dieting has you go about it isn't sustainable. Let's look at the food intake, this part of the equation. The food intake is so dramatically low that you cannot keep up with it. 800 to about 1500 calories a day is not enough to sustain many adults. It's probably enough for a small child. And done long enough, your body will lose weight, but you're losing muscle mass. You're primarily also losing a lot of water when you're effectively starving yourself. And as your muscle mass goes down, your hormones get out of whack. Your body starts to reject what you're doing, and your psychology gets off. You can become more irritable. You can have other issues. Your cardiac system can be stressed because your body is not being given the food that it needs. And then also the other side of the equation, you're possibly moving excessively. The main goal with crash diet exercise is excessive calorie burn. We must burn, burn, burn. There's repeated use of HIIT training, long bouts of cardio, and other practices which only serve to increase heart rate and get your body to burn through calories. It comes at the expense of muscle mass, and that's just not a sustainable program either. At some point, you can no longer starve yourself down to eating absolute zero, and you can no longer run consistently for 24 hours out of the day. That's not a plan for long-term success, and that's why crash diets fail. But what actually does work is this simple plan that I'm about to give you. So what does work is gonna be far less glamorous or extreme. It actually comes down to you restructuring your behaviors and your mindset about your goal. So the first step is you just need to start taking inventory of what you're actually eating and what kinds of activity you're doing. There are apps out there, you can write it down in a book, you can take photos, but start tracking what you're eating. You need to see what you're doing, both with your food and with your activity. That's the first step, just see what's going on. The second step is now that you can see what you're doing and not doing, pick one or two things from the food intake side and one or two things from the activity side and change them in the positive direction for your goal. You're not gonna change something every day. In fact, I recommend spending 1 to 4 weeks working on those few steps. You want to do this in a slow and steady process so you can actually be able to make it a habit that becomes a behavior for the long term. So that's why I suggest picking only 1 or 2 food behaviors to adjust and 1 or 2 activity behaviors to adjust. That way each month you're basically working on 2 to 4 things. And that can keep you being far more consistent with it in the long term. And finally, the third step, start journaling and keeping track of how you are feeling and doing in this process. Pictures of your progress help, the scale helps, but here's a plethora of things you can do to see progress. In fact, here's another group of things that you can look at to track along the way to see your progress. You want to have a holistic approach, so it's not just seeing pictures in the scale. You want to see how your lifestyle is changing, because this is a process that is transformative, but you have to put in the work. So to wrap it all up, if you're going to choose the crash diet, be prepared for a very tough battle that is more than likely going to end with some degree of failure. If you decide to go the balance route, it will take longer, but you will learn better skills and have a far greater chance of maintaining this lifestyle for the long term. Keep it simple, make it sustainable. Have a great week, everybody. I'll see you for the next video.